Well, welcome everyone. We are very excited to have you here today to talk about this very timely topic. Personally, I've been talking to many organizations like yourselves that are looking to move off the legacy on-premise systems and move to the cloud. And in particular, many of them are non-for-profits that are using Microsoft Dynamics GP. And given the mainstream supports ended in January 2023, they're really excited to look forward to the next stage in their ERP, which is moving to a cloud-based platform. And again, all these nonprofits I talk to are really interested in Business Central because they have enjoyed that Microsoft platform with Dynamics GP. And I'm going to talk a little later about my experience with Dynamics GP as well. So I think we've got an agenda today that's going to cover most of the questions. And again, we'll have a Q&A at the end for those that we don't cover. We're going to go through some quick introductions. We're going to turn it over to Microsoft, who's going to talk about the cloud and a little bit about Microsoft support for nonprofits. And then we're actually going to step into a Sparkrock 365 software demo. So with that, I see we still have some people joining us, but they're just in time for the best part, which is introductions. So hello, everyone. My name's Meg Wilson. I am a senior application advisor at Sparkrock. Been with Sparkrock for almost 7 years, but in this nonprofit software space for over 17. And then I'll speak to my experience before that as a director of finance. With me today is Henrik Anderson from Microsoft. And he's from Tech for Social Impact at Microsoft. So he's going to be talking a little bit about the role of Tech for Social Impact and what Microsoft is seeing in the nonprofit sector today and how Business Central can help. And then after that, we're going to move back to me, talk a little bit about the Sparkrock platform, and then we're going to step into a product demo with my wonderful esteemed colleague, James Faw. So to kick things off, I am going to hand this over to Henrik. Hopefully, James, Henrik, you gave a little wave. Henrik, it's all yours. Looking forward to hearing what you've got to say about Tech for Social Impact.
Great. Thank you very much, Meg. Can you confirm that you see the slides and hear me well?
Yes, you're on the Sparkrock 365 webinar slide.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Meg, for the introduction. I'm here and I'm super humbled to be a part of this event. I'm here to give just a little highlight on how Microsoft is looking into the nonprofit sector and what we're doing to support the industry, but also, as Meg mentioned, to look into, okay, how has things evolved over time? A lot of you are probably currently on a GP platform, and how is that looking in the future? So please, if there's any questions during my presentation, put them in the Q&A, and I'll try to address them afterwards. So let's kick it off. Just a short introduction to Tech for Social Impact. Tech for Social Impact is a unit within Microsoft that has 100% focus on the nonprofit sector. So the purpose of our team is really to empower the nonprofit across the world for them to accelerate social impact, whether it's for education, or it's for hunger, or it's for women's rights, or any cause out there that falls under the nonprofit sector industry. So we are a team of a few hundred people that are working 100% on the nonprofit sector and supporting the industry across the globe. And we are actually a quite a significant contribution to the industry. Last year, in total, we gave $3.2 billion in discounted software and grants and services to the industry. Microsoft employees donated more than $250 million to nonprofits, and we're actually serving more than 300,000 nonprofit organizations across the world, leveraging the services that we work with in the Microsoft Tech for Social Impact. When we look into the industry and we look at why is technology playing a crucial part for a lot of industries out there, not only focusing on the nonprofit sector, but basically across any industry, what we're seeing is that there is a disruption going on. There is a need for a faster change and adaptation to a new reality. So the accelerated pace of change is one factor that any company or any organization within any industry needs to take in as a factor on how the business is looking like in a few years. We see new business models popping up. We see new ways of doing business, not only in the commercial side of the business, but also for nonprofit sector. I mean, how are we driving greater impact with the mission that we are driving? How are we evolving our fundraising? How are we creating new ways of engaging with volunteers? So business models are fundamentally changing these years, and we're not only talking about web and digital, but I mean the ways that we engage with our stakeholders across the board is changing, and obviously also global market volatility. I mean we see obviously that a lot of organization is actually active on global markets, having to adapt to new ways of doing business in one area and another way in the third area. And obviously also, I mean, that's not a new one, but I mean, we've seen a change in way people are going to the office and the need for providing hybrid workplaces for employees as a key changer the last couple of years. So if we take a look at the impact these changes specifically have on the nonprofit sector, we will see this in two ways. First, I mean, it has increasingly been hard for nonprofit sector to get donations. I mean, we actually see a drop of donors of more than 5%. We've seen nonprofits that have been forced to rethink their fundraising strategy and adapt to a changing environment. So on one side, it has been more difficult for nonprofits to actually get the funding into their organization. On the other side, we are also seeing that the demand for the services of the nonprofits have increased. During COVID, we saw an increase of more than 30% of the services in the nonprofit sector in the US. So I mean, on one side, getting harder to get funding for the cause, for the mission, and the other side that we see greater demand, that there is a lot more demand for the services of the nonprofits. And I mean, obviously this is a challenge to continue serving the sector and continue serving the cause that the nonprofit organizations are serving. So that's some of the hard facts and realities that we see many of the nonprofits are facing today. If we take another angle on this, and we see if we take another angle of this and we see another study actually confirms this number, we see that 75% of nonprofit organizations see an increasing demand for their services. We also see that 85% of nonprofits are actually acknowledging that technology is a core component to be successful going forward. And I think that's really interesting to see that the digital transformation and the transformation that we've seen going on for the past couple of years and been accelerated really during the pandemic has also had that impact to the nonprofit sector. This is a trend that, I mean, there's no industry, there's no organization, there's no company that is immune to this. And I think it's really important to kind of rethink how we can actually achieve more with less by adopting some key components in the technologies. I really want to take this one step further. So if we look into and when we analyze what is what are the needs of the nonprofits, what are kind of the key areas that nonprofits needs to kind of have a deeper look at. So if we break it down into this, and we see an ever-changing need for from donors, from employees, and other stakeholders. There's a few things I would like to highlight here. One would be improve business operations and empower data-driven decisions. So when the world around us is changing at a fast pace, and the decisions needs to be made in a fast pace as well, we need to have the right insights at the right time to make the right data-driven decisions. I mean, we can't necessarily wait 2 to 3 weeks to get the right data. We need the data at hand, real time, up-to-date data to make the right decisions. So in order for us to do that, and in order for us as organizations to do that, we need a tool set to have information in real time and to make that insightful decisions in the right time. So one thing is obviously about having the right analytical tools, but on the other side of that is also to have a system of record or have a line of business solution that actually supports that gives you those insights and that you will be able to analyze further into the analytical tools. A second thing that I think is super important for a lot of nonprofits to rethink or at least evaluate is around personalized and streamlined fundraising and volunteer management. As highlighted earlier, I mean, we've seen a decline in donations. We also see a higher demand of the services of nonprofits, meaning that the competition is actually increasing. So we also need to see that as an opportunity to professionalize our fundraising management and by personalizing that communication. So I think today in the modern IT landscape, there are tools available that actually can help nonprofits to optimize that fundraising engagement piece. On the other side of that is also kind of the volunteer management. There's a huge potential in optimizing the administration and communication to retain volunteers into the nonprofit organizations. We've seen a lot of organizations turn to us saying that we have an issue of retaining our volunteers, or how do we really make it an engaging experience for our volunteers to keep serving our organization. So I think that's another thing that is key to focus on going forward. And finally, it's all about kind of the digital transformation that you probably heard of in a lot of other contexts. It's about rethinking all aspects of the organization and adapt to a new reality, making sure that you have the right tool set to drive this transformation to be successful in the future. Moving on, a few more data points here. I mean, when we look into our current customer base, I mean, we see an increasing security threat out there. I mean, security has become a fundamental issue that you have to deal with no matter what size of organization you are. So obviously being able to have your data secure, have your system secure, making sure that you are up and running and making sure that you don't have any downtime is becoming increasingly important to a lot of organizations. When talking to customers and talking to customers on what's kind of the triggers of modernizing, I mean, a lot of the feedback that we are getting is around disconnected systems. We have fundraising in one system. We have our business operations management in another system. We might have our volunteer management in a third system. So really disconnected systems and data not flowing across system is one of the key challenges of being a modern, up to speed, and having the agility needed to adapt to the new world reality. Reporting is another issue, and really those legacy systems is some of the issues that a lot of our customers are facing. And I mean, if we look into the journey together that we've had, I mean, many of you are probably currently on a GP solution. Microsoft acquired GP and NAV more than 20 years ago. Have been in market for more than 30 years. I mean, been serving incredible, well, more than 200,000 customers, and really sold across the world. And I mean, with great collaborations with our amazing partners out there that have been serving our customers. So I mean, we are building on a legacy and a history together. We are building on a fundamental knowledge of what does it mean to be a non-profit organization, what does it mean to run an ERP solution. We are Business Central, as we're going to talk about today, is not a new solution. It's built on that legacy and that history and knowledge from more than 30 years of experience in the market. So the evolution of and one of the answers to how to be able to adapt to this new world perspective, and how to be ensuring that you're kind of capturing the opportunity going forward, is really looking into, okay, what's the next thing after GP? And the answer here is really Dynamics 365 Business Central. It's the evolution of NAV and GP. It's our business management solution in the cloud for small and medium-sized businesses, including nonprofits. And it's a cloud-based solution that really supports and drives a lot of value to our customers. As mentioned before, we see a lot of those challenges in the market, and we see that we can address it with the solution of Business Central moving forward. So it's about adapting to the new world reality. It's about being smarter, making sure that you can make the right decisions based on the right data. It's also about performance, ensuring that you actually have the opportunity to automate some of the processes that you have in the company, ensuring that you have the right foundation to grow moving forward. And one of the benefits, or some of the benefits of actually moving from a on-premise solution to the cloud is really about capturing some of those opportunities that you see with the cloud solution around automating some of the processes, making sure that you are actually always running on a cloud-based secure solution with a guaranteed uptime, with ongoing maintenance, and really also just making sure that you actually have a secure and reliable solution that can grow with you as an organization. So that's some of the triggers that we have seen thousands and thousands of our customers moving from the GP and NAV solutions to the cloud have been focusing on. But I think there's much more to that story than that's just these three bullets. I think if you're looking into, and if you're actually taking this focus on digital transformation and trying to capture what does that mean for us as an organization, it's not just about Business Central here. It's really about, okay, what are the options out there for us as an organization to utilize a set of tools, a set of world-class applications that actually can help us drive to be more successful driving our mission going forward. And when we're talking about Business Central, it's not a standalone solution. It is at the core of Microsoft as it is today. It's built on top of our secure and identity layer. It's built on top of Azure, works seamlessly with the well-known tools of Microsoft 365, the Office tools, as many of you are probably using today. So it's really a seamless experience. Things are working together. They are really integrated. But I'm sure that we'll see more of that later in the presentation here today. So a little look into the future. We are continuously focusing on giving our customers a world-class user experience. It is at the core that you should be able to sit in front of a desktop PC, start working with Business Central, and start creating some value immediately. It's very intuitively built. It's integrated natively with the Office 365 suite, as mentioned, and and on top of that, it's also connected not only to the Microsoft suite of solutions, but also to third-party solutions, and really gives you the opportunities to actually connect data, so you are ready to make those decisions immediately, as mentioned previously. And then one thing I want to mention here is also the predictive era. I mean, we are hearing a lot about AI and how AI can support us in the future. And I think there are a lot of interesting things going on in that space, a lot of great advancements, and a lot of things that we can actually support our customers, support nonprofits in optimizing and being better at achieving success in their mission. And on top of this, I mean, we have a great ecosystem of partners like Sparkrock that we really have a unique partnership with, partners that understand the technology and can translate that technology into the business needs of you as a nonprofit organization. And it's really a core value prop for our customers, that we have partners with the industry knowledge and with that tight partnership with Microsoft. So they are really at the center of the partnership going forward. So a few more bullets around the why Business Central and what's the advantage for you. As Meg mentioned in the beginning, you will get the recording, you will get the slides. So I'm not going to go through all the details here. So I just wanted to finish up my piece of the presentation with highlighting this. As mentioned, Tech for Social Impact is a team in Microsoft 100% focused on the nonprofit sector. And a few of the things that we offer to the industry is really grants. So if you are a registered nonprofit, you will be able to take advantage of the grants, whether it's on the Office 365, the Microsoft 365, Azure, or the Dynamics side of the business. There are grants available, and there are additional discounts on the cloud services as you need them. So look at aka.ms/Microsoft nonprofit others. You will get the full insight on the office here. With that, I would like to hand it back to you, Meg.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Hendrik. That was an awesome overview of the benefits of Microsoft Business Central and Microsoft's role with non-for-profits. So now let's transition and dive into Sparkrock's partnership with Microsoft and our role in helping nonprofits optimize organizational efficiency by leveraging the functionality within Business Central. First, I just wanted to start with an overview of our mission. I mean, really, our mission is to provide innovative ERP solutions for nonprofits. And, you know, in our experience, most ERP software is slow to implement and too complex for a lot of the non-profit clients. So not only are we going to talk about the functionality and what we've put into the product to make it more efficient, but we're also, you know, we're not going to get into this today, but the other benefit that we bring to the table is our real structured implementation, our industry leading support, and our sector specific experience on our services team. You know, and together with the community and the sharing that we provide through the community support programs we have in place. But today we're just focused on the technology side and the functionality side. So let's talk a little bit about how Sparkrock leverages the Microsoft platform. So if you move to the next slide, please, Henrik. So Sparkrock has a unique status with Microsoft. We're part of the Microsoft Embedded program, and it's actually called the Embed program, but I really hesitate saying that for obvious reasons, so I like to say embedded, so it's pretty clear what I'm saying. There are very limited number of partners worldwide that are part of this program, and I think there's only 2 in North America. This program's for partners that have a really broad reaching application with functionality across many areas, versus just a sort of a point solution app. So our product was designed to meet the needs of nonprofits. So we've added functionality across 18 different modules, and James is going to show some of that to you later. But what's important is for our customers is that this is one integrated database, all built within the Microsoft stack. So, if you look at this slide, you can see like Business Central, we're built on the Azure platform. We're actually built, as an app right within that Business Central functionality. So everything Henrik was talking about, we get to leverage and more. And if we move to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about what that means for our customers. And really what it means is you get the best of both worlds. So you get all the horizontal functionality and features that Microsoft's built into the application. So all the platform stuff, privacy, security, the unbelievable investment production by Microsoft. I mean, we're talking billions on the privacy and security side, and similar investment in just the application functionality. Microsoft takes care of things like the mobility support, the interoperability with the various platforms we talked about, and also with things like browser support, all of those things that actually can be really expensive for a vertical solution to offer to its customers. So we're leveraging that whole Microsoft ecosystem, but we're still offering a very vertically focused platform. So we've got very specific non-for-profit functionality, a tailored experience. So part of when we deploy, it's a best practices deployment based on our experience with nonprofits. You're also leveraging the Sparkrock community. So, we have user groups that allow our nonprofits to share ideas. We have assigned customer success managers to ensure that you're moving from sort of that technical support to user success to ultimately to business success across your entire organization. And then the other thing that's really fantastic for our customers is there's a guarantee in terms of the quality of the code of our product, because we are required to meet Microsoft standard. All our code goes over to Microsoft because it sits on that business platform, Business Central platform. So they have to approve that code. So you know that you're also getting a really solid quality product. So if we move to the next slide, Hendrik covered a lot of this around the challenges facing non-for-profits, but I wanted to speak to it from my personal experience, because I'm speaking to nonprofits every day who are like, I'm sure all of you on this call today, are struggling to do more with less and to be more efficient. I'm going to talk personally how I'm very familiar with those challenges. So things like, as Henrik mentioned, too many systems, they don't talk to each other. So we have all these manual processes. It takes too long to report because of it. Their technology is older and it's not very usable. And we've got new people, young people coming in that expect more. They're struggling with compliance and reporting requirements because they're running different programs with different funders, governments, local, state, or province, city reporting requirements are all different. Information is being managed outside of the system. I can't think of a nonprofit I haven't spoken to that doesn't experience that, where they're managing data in spreadsheets because they've had to try to pull the data from these various systems. And not only is that inefficient, but it's risky and it's not scalable. And then there's just the stress and time-consuming task of trying to manage spend against budgets, and that's another one where I see people managing their own little personal spreadsheets because they don't really know where they're at, and they can't wait to get the statement at the end of the month to see if they've under or overspent. So, I've lived all these challenges because I was a director of a large not-for-profit, and we were funded by government, all different levels of government, membership fees and donation fees, with a lot of very special funds with very specific spending requirements. And I can tell you, many an all-nighter trying to get reports out, mostly because we were really on a vertically focused solution that actually the vendor just couldn't keep up with the required investment in technology. So things like reports were super cumbersome. So I led this whole IT transformation project, and part of that involved selecting Dynamics GP. And for my Dynamics GP users out there, I can tell you that Smart List Builder was life-changing for me. I got my evenings back because I could like slice and dice and pull data together and finally get reports together for these different funders. And since then, the technology's just continued to evolve. And part of the reason I came onto this side of the table is I love that whole process of being more efficient, helping an organization become more effective, and decided I wanted to help more organizations do that. So I came to Sparkrock because of this non-for-profit focus on customer success. And, and because of all of that, we actually get to work with a tremendous portfolio of customers, if we move to the next slide, across all kinds of sectors in the not-for-profit space. Education, which is really near and dear to my heart because I'm a mother of four, some very specific human and health service non-for-profits, quite a diverse group, but all facing these similar challenges that both Henrik and I have spoken about. So if we move to the next slide, I think, we got a blank one in there for some reason. Oh, there we go. I think Ava's got a poll that's going to pop up here. So I know that we are new using this within Microsoft Teams. So there you go. So what concerns do you have moving to a cloud solution provider? So if each of you can just answer your question there, and then I believe Ava's going to share the results.
Meg, it looks like, sorry, I just want to jump in here. It looks like we're having some issues with the poll.
Okay.
So I think let's just skip over this part. We'll just continue with the rest of the presentation.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we're trying this out for the first time on Teams, so next time. So how can Sparkrock 365 help? So I'm actually going to turn this over to James, who's going to show you how we can help. We're going to speak about the seamless integration to the Microsoft 365 product and services that Henrik and I've been talking about. He's going to talk about or show a little bit about how we can proactively manage spend. And, we're going to talk about access to real-time data, because one of the things that we really focus on is not only reporting within the system, but also leveraging Microsoft's powerful Power BI tool, and then just the great user experience from a role center perspective, and being able to personalize that to your day-to-day responsibilities. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to James. He's going to talk about the different modules we have, how we've built on top of Dynamics 365, and then he's going to step into the product. So Ava, I see that poll is still up on the screen. Is there a way we can?
Sorry, it seems like some folks were getting some app errors and then it was working for others. So if it's popped up on the screen, go ahead and just answer it. Meg, if it's on your screen, you can answer it, and that'll sort of make it go away. And folks that have it up on their screen can go ahead and answer it as well.
Okay, so it's on the main screen, and it looks like the number one item is integration with existing systems, which both Henrik and I spoke to.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Meg, and thanks, Henrik. So let's just dive into a little bit more specifically what Sparkrock 365 looks like. So you can see that we have, this is the full footprint of what Sparkrock 365 offers, lots of capabilities in the financial areas, and we're going to focus that in terms of the demonstration today, but we also have capabilities down here in the human resources and payroll areas of the software as well. And the huge advantage that we can bring to our customers by having all of this in one place is that all of the pieces that you need in order to run your operations are connected together. So for example, if we have project and grants and you have a new grant that gets awarded, you change the status here in grant management, it automatically updates the general ledger. And then let's say that that grant is for things you're going to buy things with. So it immediately makes it available for requisition management, commitments and encumbrance, budget checking, all of those things can work. But if that grant is for things where people need to enter time to, well, then it immediately becomes available for perhaps listing a new position or maybe for time entry. And that's all going to, either of those will flow into payroll administration, which then that can then flow back into your general ledger and financial reporting. So there's some really tremendous advantages by having all of these pieces talk to each other. Now, many of you may be familiar with the Business Central platform, and so we wanted to quickly highlight a little bit about what's different from the Business Central platform and Sparkrock 365. So if we take that same view, these are the areas that we've actually touched the least. So these areas, cash management, accounts receivable, and inventory management, we've only made some very, very minor changes to those areas. The next is these areas. So these areas exist in the Business Central platform. However, we've made very, very significant changes, improvements to them. Greater than 50% of the capabilities used every day have been layered on top by our customers. And then the final, these areas that are in black, these are areas that don't exist at all in the Business Central platform. So they're completely new areas. Things like fund accounting, project and grant accounting, requisition management, commitments and encumbrance, employee expenses, things like that. And the vast majority of human resources and payroll didn't exist at all in the Business Central platform. So just to give you a sense, and this is our experience for a lot of systems, including Business Central, that are designed for the for-profit world, that they're really great at providing you with management of sales and opportunities and perhaps managing inventory and widgets and buying and selling them, but they're really missing some of the things that Meg mentioned, right? The ability to do very detailed spend management and to collect the inputs that are driving, that are tracking against those costs that are maybe coming from employees' time clocks or schedules worked or requisitions or grants and accounting. So let's take a quick look at those. Again, I'm going to focus in financial areas today. But we wanted you to leave with a little bit of a vision in terms of what the solution can look like. So this is Sparkrock 365. So it's running on that amazing Business Central platform that Henrik mentioned. It's in the cloud, so it's available anywhere on any device at any time. It's in a highly secure cloud, so your auditors will be far happier with your data being in the Azure cloud than it's sitting on premise somewhere and being at risk there. Also, your IT departments are happy because it's all integrated with the ecosystem that they're already running. It's integrated with Azure Active Directory. So those things all apply to this solution. And so, I mentioned the spend management, and one of the things, the areas where the sort of the rubber hits the road for spend management is really, for example, in the chart of accounts. So if we go into the chart of accounts, this is the natural account or the static portion of your general ledger. I'm going to quickly search for all accounts that are related to programs here. So you can see here I did a search here, and it found all of my accounts that have program either in the description or somewhere else. So some of them have program over in the budget category here. And really what most of our clients are trying to get to is really this ideal place where you have the most precise visibility into spending against budget. And the way you get there is by including both the budget and the actual or the net change here, and everything that's happening in between, so commitments and encumbrances. So you can see here on program supplies, this is a roll-up of my total budget for all my program supplies, and you can see I'm clearly not a very good budget administrator in my demonstration company. We can see commitments. So commitments are tied to requisitions primarily, and they represent internal commitments. So we've approved that internally that this expense can be made. Encumbrances are tied typically to external commitments. So that could be a purchase order or a contract. And so these are commitments that have been made to tie up the budget, but we haven't spent the funds yet. And then the net change are the actual are invoices that have already come in and we've spent the funds. So by looking at this, I can see exactly what my total budget was, everything in between, and I can drill down on these and see exactly what is making up that. So what lines specifically are making those commitments and encumbrances? Again, if you've used commitments and encumbrances in some legacy systems, you might be used to seeing a whole bunch of debits and credits, and that may be useful at some point during the implementation, but most users practically want to know exactly what POs are causing that balance. And so we're displaying it. Of course, we can go into the detail entries and see the debits and credits, but this is showing PO number 6, PO number 10, 19. These are all the ones that are open. And if I need to clear that encumbrance, then I can go and close that PO. So the same thing applies to commitments here. So again, we're providing this very, very detailed visibility into actual to budget, and you'll see, hopefully you'll begin to see in the next few minutes, just how that carries pervasively throughout the application, this idea of being able to see actual to budget. Something else I wanted to mention is that Dynamics GP has a chart of accounts that's called a segmented GL. So that's where you have a really long string with all of your dimensions. And Dynamics NAV or Sparkrock 365, also, or Dynamics Business Central, apologies, and Sparkrock 365 have components of a logical chart of accounts. And so a segmented GL is really, really great for controlling how your combinations of things go together. For example, this funder gave you these funds, and so it's either in this grant or this fund, and it can be used specifically for these programs or at these locations, right? You can articulate those very, very clearly and precisely. A logical chart of accounts is a little bit more problematic in doing that. It gives you great reporting, great multi-year reporting across fiscal years, but it is not quite as precise in terms of those combinations. And so Sparkrock 365 actually provides you with the best of both those worlds. So it's a hybrid GL, and we do have something called account sets and account set analysis. So these are all of your account strings. You can generate those for all of your dimensions or even some of your dimensions, the more static ones. You can copy from another program to create them, and we're providing you with the same budget commitment encumbrance actual at this level as well. And so that's something to keep in mind in terms of the a transition from a GP to another product is really the, how different is it, and is it going to give you the controls that are required. So again, that's another addition in terms of Sparkrock 365. Another key area that we see for our customer base is this concept of distributed access. And so, for the vast majority of our customers, budget management is done at a very distributed level, meaning that we have lots of different individuals that are responsible for maybe one cost center or a narrow slice of the budget, a few departments or a grant or some projects. And so Sparkrock 365, we've created some additional infrastructure that allows you to define that. So in this case, I've defined this particular view here that's for a specific, specialized settlement support. So it's a specific grant or project here. And I can define it here. I can define the GL accounts, the project code that it's going to apply to, and then I can assign it to specific users, right? And so I've assigned it to these 3 different users so they have access to it. Or I could go to another one here, maybe it's an analysis by department. And again, I can set it up, define that I want to see my departments as rows, and I want my variance month to date, year to date as my columns, and assign it to the users that I want to see it. We've also added additional infrastructure to allow you to apply security to those users. And so those users will have their security layered over top. And that can make sure that you can really help the organization transition to that real-time on-demand access to data, and to empower data-driven decisions. One of the themes that Henrik talked to, as opposed to having your users sit there and wait for finance to do a huge amount of work after month end, and then deliver some spreadsheets that are out of date by the time you get them in your inbox, right? So we want to move away from that way of operating, a lot of work for finance and getting out of date data, and really transition to this real-time on demand. So that's how easy it is to set up those rules. And it goes in tandem with this distributed budget management. So I'm going to switch role centers now. So I'm logged in as another user. This is a department manager user and the department manager role center. And this role center is filtered based on the user security throughout. So first of all, if I'd like to proactively check my budget, so I'm a user that has a narrow slice of information, I can go to reporting and analytics reports, and I can see those same views that we saw as the administrator setting up, but I can go to overview and I can see for the settlement support, I can see all of my program expenses, the budget commitments, encumbrance, net change in actual. So there's $59,000 left overall for this particular project, and I can see each one of these values here. And if I want to drill down, I can also drill down right to source documents and see those POs. Or if I'm looking at invoices that have been charged to this particular project or grant, again, I can see those. And if I have any document attachments or images, I would even be able to see those images right from this view as well. So these views allow your organization, your users within the organization, to be proactive and access information real time and on demand. The other goal that we try to do is really make information so easy to find that it's almost easier to just provide that information directly, to a person to look it up directly than for them to refer the call to the finance department. So if you have users that perhaps have a relationship with vendors, and the vendors, maybe I'm a program director, the vendor's calling me to find out the status of that invoice. Well, I can actually open up this list of invoices here, and it's going to apply my security onto these invoices. So I won't be able to see any invoices that are not charged to a cost center or department that's within my security. And I can easily search here, if and based on the vendor's invoice, call up that invoice. And I can easily see here, for example, that we have not paid that invoice yet. There's 0 payments. If there were payments, I'd see the amount here and the date, and I'd be able to drill down to see the check number. Also, if there was one line charged to my department and one line charged to Meg's department on this invoice, I would only be able to see the line that is charged to my department. So the security is multi-level deep into the document to really hide information that you're not able to see. And then also on this theme of empowering data-driven decisions and transparency and accountability is really, we've added the whole purchase requisition workflow with those commitments and encumbrances. And so in purchase requisitions, I'll just quickly enter some basic information here for a standard requisition. It's very, very easy for me. I'll just enter some meeting supplies here. I can select an account set here, and I'll enter a second line as well for another one. Again, even these drop downs are subject to my security. And, I'm a very busy program manager. Ideally, I'd stop and look at a report to see if I have sufficient budget, but I don't have time to do that today. So I'm just going to submit it in the hopes that someone downstream will find it out. And again, this is where Sparkrock 365 provides you with real-time budget checking. So it's saying, hey, you're over budget. Do you want to continue anyway? Yes or no? Again, you can make that an error. You can make that a warning, like I have it right here, or you can make it require an additional approval. And you can see here those 2 different lines that did 2 budget checkings for me, right, on the 2 different account sets. This one's got lots of budget, but I can see the one above it, I'm over budget by 61,000. Available amount before request. If this request goes through, it'll be 61,000. So we're really providing the user with insight into the budget availability right at the point where they need to see it. And of course, if I'm surprised at this, why is it? Well, I can actually log right in. I can drill into these transactions and see the transactions that are making it up. So that's a quick whirlwind tour of some of the key features of Sparkrock 365, especially as they relate to managing against budget, the distributed access across your organization, and really helping drive improved business operations and really driving data-driven decisions. So I'll hand it back to you, Meg. Yeah.
Thank you, James. That was great. You hit the key points in a short amount of time. But obviously, there'll be an opportunity for those interested to go much deeper than that. So let's open it up to the Q&A. We have a couple of questions already. Can you indicate how this platform would compare to the GP QHR platforms being utilized by healthcare organizations through CCIM, and also whether this system is structured to support OHRS reporting and chart of accounts? So, Jane, I think, James, you would be the best person to answer that question.
You're putting me on the spot. There's a bunch of acronyms in there that
Yeah.
I have to admit I'm not exactly familiar with what they are, but
So
I think
I think OHR, I think this is Ontario, but I'm not 100% sure. Just because I do remember this whole Ontario healthcare GP deployment because I was working in that space at the time. So you know, I think we would have to follow up on that one. You know, because that was very specific GP. I'm not specifically sure what is the migration from that GP QHR platform is, but again, because as James was talking about, there's a lot more flexibility around that reporting because we are a dimensional reporting system. So it would be a matter of looking into how we might support that migration. So I'm sure that's not the answer you're looking for, Roxanne, but perhaps we can take that question offline and discuss it further. Okay, so another question. Does analytical accounting carry over from GP to Business Central? And James, I'll get you to cover that because we can talk about what we do in replace of that.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar exactly with what analytical accounting does, but Sparkrock 365 does offer an unlimited number of dimensions. There are 8 that are in line, meaning they're in sort of columns in a spreadsheet, so to speak. Hopefully you can make do with 8. If you do need more, there are additional ones that are available, and one of those can be defined as a fund with automatic do tos and do froms if you'd like, or need fund accounting. And then there's out of the box reporting for all of your financial statements, and you can roll up your information by any one of those dimensions, or by a time scale, or by your natural account. So generally, we've done the number one system that we've replaced in Sparkrock 365 over the years is GP, and generally you can provide very, very strong analytical reporting with those features that we have to do those roll-ups.
Okay, and then we had a few other questions that have come up actually even before this presentation. One is around the sort of effort that it takes to, what sort of effort it will take my staff to migrate from GP to this solution. And James, why don't you cover that one?
Sure, yeah. So a typical GP migration for core components, maybe core financial components is, I think the range would be 3 to 6 months, I think is sort of a standard range in terms of the elapsed time. And the difference between that inside that range is really dependent a fair amount on the pace that your team really wants to tackle it. So we can accelerate that if your team has more availability to sort of charge through and learn new parts of the software and things like that, or make some of the setup decisions more quickly. Or if you need a bit more time, then it be on the longer end of that effort. We understand very few of our customers can dedicate a dedicated team to an implementation project. That rarely happens, and so our implementation team is really used to working with you as best they can. And again, our process is continually improving and really focusing on making sure that our team can do the heavy lifting on getting your data. We try to take your data sort of as it is and do the data transformation and get it into our system as quickly as possible without relying on huge amounts of data cleansing on your side. So that's generally where a lot of the time-consuming activities are, and so we try to take on as much of that as we possibly can.
Great, thanks, James. And then this one that I get often is, what's a replacement for management reporter? And I don't think there's too many people on FRX still, but occasionally that question comes up. So James, maybe you can talk about, you've kind of covered this, I think, in the presentation already, but what the key replacement would be.
Yeah, the key replacement really are features that are built right into the software. So you don't need this sort of third-party reporting tool to kind of extract the data. So that's done. So we looked at the reporting and analytics reports for those views that you can define and share with different users and are subject to security. We have a financial statement report writer called financial schedules. And then on top of that, for reporting and dashboards, there is also Power BI. And Power BI really is transformational to organizations organizations and can not only allow you to visualize data and create custom views and dashboards for data that's within Sparkrock 365, but also commingle data that you might have from another solution, any other solution, Microsoft platform or even not there. Even with Power BI, there's even some really even more amazing scenarios where you can download public data sets. So if you're doing grant applications and you want to analyze a certain sector, often from public data sources, you can buy data sets or get data sets for free. And that we've seen some of our customers really leverage that kind of information for writing grant proposals and saying, hey, look how well we've done with this particular opportunity. We'd really like to tackle this broader market, and we can prove that there is the need from this public data source. So some really neat things that we can do there. I know that's a lot beyond a management reporter, but
That's
Hey,
great.
Ava here. Sorry,
Yep.
I don't mean to pop in here, but we had a few other questions that popped into the Q&A and into the chat as well. I think
Okay.
we only have a couple of minutes left, so
Yeah.
just wanted to let folks know that we definitely will be following up after the webinar. But maybe just real quick before we wrap up, there was one question that came through that I really wanted us to sort of address, which was, does Sparkrock implement their product directly or through partners?
Okay, yes. So we do implement directly. And so you just need to reach out to us and depending on, that's it. We implement directly.
And James, this one to you. Can you review what you mentioned about the chart of accounts features not available in Business Central, but available in Sparkrock?
Yeah, so I think the biggest for GP users, the biggest thing to be aware of is this. There's sort of two styles of charts of accounts out there. So one is a segmented GL, of which GP is that style. So think of a long account string, right, where it's this dash that dash fund dash account dash project dash cost center, right? And that's a slightly older style of chart of accounts, but it has some advantages. The biggest advantages are that you can control very precisely how things go together. The challenges with it are things like multi-year reporting. If you have a 3-year grant and you're reporting costs across 3 years, often those you have to run a bunch of different reports and add them together. It's quite problematic. So in Business Central, there's something called a logical chart of accounts, which is almost the polar opposite, where your dimensions are all individual values. There's a few rules around how you can say, hey, when I have this account, it requires this value, but there isn't really a holistic view where you can say these combinations of dimensions are the only valid ones, and we don't want to allow these other combinations of things to happen. And so in Sparkrock 365, we've really provided you with a hybrid chart of accounts, which is the best of both those worlds. You get the multi-year reporting, you get the flexibility, pivot table like reporting on any dimension and roll up, but you also get the ability to turn on advanced dimension controls, which allow you to control the combinations very precisely. And that's very fundamental for our customer base, where your funding is usually coming with strings attached, and you need to control exactly how it goes together. So hopefully that provides you with some more insight into that, and we're happy to talk to you further about that if you have more questions.
Yes, and we do have a few more questions, but I think we're going to have to treat those as a follow-up, Ava, and we can email them with the link. Okay. That's great. We're at 2:00, 2:01. Oh goodness. So this has been fantastic. Appreciate everybody's attention and all the great questions. If you'd like more information, we go to this last slide here. You can visit us at sparkrock.com, or there's a link on the website. But if you don't get to the website, you can email us directly at info@sparkrock.com, and someone will get back to you, and we'd love to chat more. So again, thank you so much for your attention today, and have a good rest of your day.